Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also have a couple closed Facebook groups for roadies, one called Death by Loadout and another one called The Backstage Pass. Super excited to have you here this evening. Beside me, my co-host, my good friend, Kyle Thomas. How are you, brother?
Not too bad. How about yourself, big dog?
Dude, like seriously, you know, it's a weird time, as you know, but I get to do all this fun shit. You know, as we've got this soundstage we've built up, and we've been having quite a bit of traffic in here this week. You've been around for all of it.
We sure have.
You know, we've been making electronic press kits for it and soliciting some business, and we've had some bites. We'll be able to tell the audience about that more in the future. Oh, look, our good friend from Switzerland, Patrick, is saying hi. Hi, Pat. Good to see you, baby. He's one of the good guys. And so we've had some interesting folks come, a few rock stars and stuff show up. And
yeah, it's getting busy here. It's nice.
Yeah. Slowly but surely, we will get there. What's been going on with you this week? I mean, I know we've been hanging out quite a bit, but beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good meeting the other day. Yeah, I think you were involved as well. I think I saw you in the boardroom.
Yeah, it's hard to keep me out.
But we were referring to the Red Alert event that I talked about last week.
Right, we were doing that well into the evening, I believe.
Sure were, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really helpful to kind of get a bigger scope of what was going on. Now we kind of understand it's a much larger picture with how many buildings are involved now with the...
And companies.
Yeah, companies too. I don't know how many people were on that call. It was significant.
It seemed like 15 or 20 representatives from regional companies and a couple national ones.
It just felt great to see everybody coming together and making something really important happen for a good cause for the rest of us, you know, struggling in this time.
Can you kind of describe, so it's a Red Alert event, describe as an outline for folks that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
this is something I believe originated in
Europe.
Europe.
The UK. It was originally illuminating buildings in red to shine light on the entertainment industry.
Kind of the plight that we're in right now.
Yeah, and you know, the UK had about 700 buildings. We were shooting for 1,500 across the country. We thought that they made a good point that our area was a very important region to kind of focus on. So I think a lot of the buildings in our area are going to have good coverage. I think that there's even talk of like a helicopter coming out and filming.
I believe so, yeah.
It should be fun.
Yeah. It's, what is it? I believe it's September 1st.
September 1st is the date we have, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, from all the heads that are involved, from the Felix people to Impact and everybody in between, VER, I think we're going to make a good showing, and it seems like the logistics are worked out pretty well.
Oh, solid, yeah.
I think we're going to be involved in Palace of Fine Arts, I believe. Light that thing up.
Yeah, at this point,
that's
Palace of Fine Arts is going to be the sound image contribution. So.
Yeah, well, that's quite a building, and just lighting up those columns, man. That's going to be the thing. So we're going to bring it hard.
It's going to look beautiful. And it will be red.
It will be good. Hey, there was this cat. I was talking about this earlier. This guy. We appreciate the viewers very much. You guys send us notes once in a while and comments, and we appreciate the interaction. There's one gentleman has reached out to us. The way he comes through to us is as a Facebook user. We can't respond to him, so we don't know his name. He says he likes the show, but then he didn't think we got back to him fast enough, so I think it hurt his feelings, and he told us he wasn't going to watch the show anymore. Then he reached out to us today. Again, I don't know his name, and I can't respond to him, or I would, and said that he would behave, and could we let him in the group? Well, you're in the group, buddy. You can go to YouTube, Beyond the Backstage Pass, and you can watch our show anytime, or find us at Death by Loadout. Answer the questions, agree to the rules. The same with the Beyond the Backstage Pass Facebook sites, and we'll let you in. But until you can work out the communication stuff, it's not on our site. So, again, we will always try to be timely in responding to you guys. Hey, Pat, good to see you, buddy. Because we dig our audience, and you know we're doing this for you guys. So, reach back out to us. Try to find a way in, and we'd love to chat with you. Anything else? What else? Got anything?
Man, other than the SXL, I'm still just, I broke my USB and dum-dum. The one thing I don't back up is my SXL's session files. So
Yeah,
I've just been rebuilding show files.
Do you think you might change your ways in the future?
I think I've heard it from just about everybody in the building.
Is that working for you?
Yes.
That was great, man. You came in here, that thing was bent into an L shape. You wonder why it wouldn't work. Like, my stick is broken. Yeah, it's fucking dead.
Trashed.
Yeah. Well, we live and learn, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do.
I want to say hi to Charlie Zaricki. He's one of my favorites in the audience, and I hope you're doing well, Charlie. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
and
thank you, Charlie.
You know, we know a lot of cool people. We say this a lot because we do, and a lot of them have these really varied stories and interactions and experiences. Our guest tonight is really the cake taker on this one, because he's a guy that comes to Thanksgiving dinner at the house. He is a family friend. He is a brother of brothers. It's somebody that we've loved and respected for decades, and we're lucky enough to have him on our guest. This guy has helped set 4 land speed records. If it's got a motor, he can fix it. If there's some pyro involved, he'll do it. And if it's a giant rock and roll show or a giant festival or some big ass band with an artist that's got the word Sir in the front of his name, like Paul McCartney or Sir Elton John, he's filmed it. I love this guy. He's a true brother. We're lucky enough to have him. It's the videographer of the year. It's the one. It's the only. It's Mr. John Fukushima. How are you doing, brother?
Vince?
Oh, man. Buddy, you know I love this stuff.
I know you do.
Well, particularly with you. You make this very easy. You've got this crazy background. I forgot to mention on your intro here, it says something about, let me read this. What does it say? Been a member in good standing with the Hells Angels for 43 years. That's an interesting one. We're going to have to reach out and talk about that one. How have you been doing? Tell me how you've been handling your business during this COVID bullshit.
Shit, bored as hell.
Yeah, there's that.
I've been working in the yard, rototilling. I hate working in the yard, quite honestly. I don't like working in dirt.
I understand completely.
And every day I try to go for a walk 3 to 5 miles.
What's
usually
that,
down at the San Leandro Marina.
So?
About 10,000.
That's very good.
But I try to do it on a daily basis. Of course, with this fire going on, I haven't been able to do it.
All the
smoke-heavy days.
Shit in the airs, yeah, not good for you.
But other than that, it's just watching a lot of Netflix.
Yeah, I'd probably zip through, binge watching some series and that type of shit.
All the home projects are pretty much done. I'm sure more will come up if this gets prolonged. But
right. Well,
I'm taking a break from that.
Good for you. Smart. The honey-do list is pretty well complete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine you doing much honey says anyways. But let's talk about this weird aspect. I want to get into the rock and roll for the kids out there in the audience. But I mean, you do all these crazy things. What is this with Bonneville and out in the lake bed setting land speed records? Talk to us about that.
Well, that started out. I worked in the auto industry for 37 years.
Yeah.
And I worked for Chrysler Corporation dealerships. 2 of the Chrysler Zone technical advisors enlisted my help to build a car to set some land speed records. The nice thing about it is the car and all the parts were free. I just had to make a wish list up.
Yeah.
And they faxed it to Chrysler Detroit, and shit comes in a crate, and it's like great. It's like Christmas every day.
Oh, hell yeah.
But it started out as a 1992 Chrysler LeBaron. The engine package came out of I think it was, what do you call it? I can't even think of the word right now, but it was a race engine, fully prepped race engine.
Yeah.
A 2-liter, D-stroke 2.2-liter engine, turbocharged. And my primary task on that was engine assembly, wiring all the computer components, and part of the chassis build.
Wow.
And
kind of critical part.
The whole infrastructure for the car was built by Top of the Hill race cars. Bruce Hertel and Mike Herbert were the Chrysler Zone reps that were heavily involved with it. And our first attempt at the land speed record, we went out there in 1992, and our first attempt, we broke the record by just tenths of a second at 179 miles an hour.
Wow.
Ooh, that's flying.
That's cooking for
But
1992.
that's just the beginning. We went back every year, and every year we broke it. We went faster each year. Our goal was to break 200 miles an hour. 4 years later, we did it.
Wow.
And there was a lot of things that we could do and things that we couldn't do and things that we did anyway and didn't tell anybody. Like the aerodynamics of the car had to be a production car. It had to appear to be a production car. You couldn't make any modifications to its appearance, like lengthening it, which we did. The interior had to look stock.
No shit.
And other than that, you know, it had to look like a showroom car, basically, with a roll cage.
Wow.
So we extended the front end 2.5 inches without them catching that.
You're tricky.
Between the front fascia and the fenders.
Yeah.
We extended that out. We lowered the car. We had to take different tire sizes out to Bonneville with us. And one of the biggest challenges is when you're out in Bonneville, there are no auto parts stores. There are no hardware stores. There's nowhere to get parts.
No Napa right there.
Nothing.
Oh, man.
You're on your own.
So if you don't bring it with you, you're stuck.
But the primary difference between racing at Bonneville and racing at the drag strip here is the time element and the people there. When you're drag racing, you're under pressure all the time. You only have so many minutes to get that car back and running after you make your run.
Right.
At Bonneville, you got a half a day. And the people out there are just so friendly and willing to help you in any way they can. The day we set the land speed record, we had a problem where the turbo boost wouldn't go over 14 pounds, and the boost was set at 18 pounds. And we had to scramble away to figure out how to do it. The reason it wouldn't go to its limit was because of the atmospheric pressure change.
Sure.
It was set for sea level, and we're 5,000 feet up
That's
there.
right.
So my crew chief wanted to just run a screw into what they call the wastegate that limits your boost pressure so it wouldn't mechanically open. And I just said, no, that's not a good way to do it. I said, I got a better idea. I'm going to reroute pressure from the intake manifold into the wastegate. And I needed some components to do it. So I needed tubing, fittings, air compressor gauge, and nowhere to get it. So I just started going around the grounds to each camp there, asking them what they can spare. And I was able to muster up the tubing. I took the gauge off someone's compressor. I mean, those people just made it happen for us. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Bonneville is a
So
legendary.
I put the air pressure gauge inside of the car, right by the gauges so the driver can reach it. And on the first test, we had cameras mounted all over the car, and he could monitor the pressure. If it was too low, he can dial it up. If it was too high, he can dial it down, because if we went too high, it'd just blow the head right off it.
Yeah.
But we're putting out over 470 horsepower out of a 2-liter, that's 120 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine.
It's a lot of horses.
So
Damn. Impressive.
we did break the 200 mile an hour club
Wow.
on our last run.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was an incredible journey, you know, totally different aspect to auto racing that I've never experienced before that.
Yeah.
And it was good. I just like to do different things.
Well, talking about different things, I know you've done pyro in your life, because I think you like playing with fire. And you did the 75th anniversary on the Golden Gate. I remember that thing. That was, man, the pyro involved in that was insane. Talk to me about that.
That was an awesome show.
That was huge.
It was huge. 7-day build.
Yeah.
We had 4 barges if I recall right, 4 barges and all the product on the bridge.
Yeah.
And approximately, I'm going to guess, 5,000 chargers on each barge and another 5,000 on the bridge itself.
Yeah.
We had a crew of about 75 people.
It was nuts.
And working around the clock to get it done.
Yeah, it was beautiful too.
But,
I mean, it turned out it was spectacular. It was,
Yeah, I don't like heights. I don't like it in the theater. I don't like it anywhere. And I had to be on the bottom of the bridge, on top of the tower. Talk about sweating bullets, man, in the fog.
That's awesome. And the wind. That's the one that would get
Well, we had to go
heights,
when you're on the bridge. You have to go by the iron workers' schedules, and they start work at 6 a.m.
Oh, sure.
They get off at 3, so it's 6 a.m. on that bridge.
It's wet.
You got 3 hoodies on,
Yeah.
gloves. You're just piled up with clothing because it's fucking freezing. It's freezing out there, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, the wind, the fog, everything just compounds everything.
I feel like it was worth the effort, man, because that was spectacular.
It was one of the greatest shows on earth.
Yeah, really.
The biggest pyro show in the Bay Area for sure.
Well, if you guys, if you haven't seen it, you can see it on YouTube. It's something to see. It's a phenomenal pyro show. Let's move on. You know, again, I mentioned about the Hells Angels thing. I know that's a specialized club that has certain limitations on how much you may want to get into it. But, you know, 4 decades in one of the world's most famous motorcycle club in good standing. How the hell did you pull that off?
It's just about love for your brothers.
Yeah, that's right.
Honor, loyalty to your club,
Yeah, no doubt.
and living the life you choose to live.
Well, I can testify to that last part.
It's had a lot of. It's like a roller coaster, man. I mean,
I bet.
you have your ups and you have your downs.
This is why I used to call him Mr. Fukushima.
Yeah, that's maybe still good.
You're well aware
It
of.
gives you the look, you know. Just
You're well aware of
big.
over the decades. We've had a few rough patches with the federal government there.
Yeah, they kind of had it one.
They need to justify their income.
And they were wanting to know about your kids, but you know, fuck them very much. But yeah, that's a part of your history has always fascinated me. Although we don't talk much about it, you know.
No, we don't. We're a
yeah.
secret society. You
I
might say
understand.
that.
I understand. Enough said. But it is fascinating. So you're a videographer. You're one of the top guys in the game. You know, I found it interesting. I know you do a lot of work with the union in other ways, but with the union. And your first time shooting was with Kings of Leon in a large festival. Tell me about that.
That was my first concert, yes.
Yeah.
XL Video, a friend of mine that worked for them called me up and asked me if I was interested in doing their show at Outside Lands. And
Well, let's explain Outside Lands. That's a big-ass show.
yes, it is. And
Yeah.
I was on the main stage, and I had never done a show with that many people present. But I committed myself to doing it, and that was the only act I had to shoot. So I just showed up there like an hour early, shot the show, and after the show, I actually started wrapping cables and stuff. And they come up to me and go, "Hey, you don't have to do that. You can go."
Yeah.
I go,
They have.
seriously, I can leave?
There's other people to do that. Yeah.
But it was an incredible experience.
Well, they're a great band, and for it to be your first out of the chute thing,
Yeah.
which has led to the next observation question. I know from knowing you forever, during a normal busy year, you could shoot up to 200 artists between festivals and touring. How the hell do you keep the pace on that? How do you, the stamina of doing that much work in 1 year? I mean, we'll do 140 shows out of our shop, but
Well,
man.
there's no real secret to it. Just keeping yourself in shape and
Yeah.
eating good,
Yeah.
getting plenty of rest. Because, you know, you're like, in the typical year where that would happen is if I'm doing, let's say, Coachella, Bottle Rock, Outside Lands, Treasure Island Music Fest all in 1 year. Well,
Right.
cumulatively, all those bands add up. And then I work at Shoreline as well.
Yeah. Whole
So,
season.
so it all adds up. I mean, it could be 200 to 300 artists in a year.
Impressive. I like, and you know, that's a lot of work to the uninitiated. Excuse me. You've gotten around. Like one of my favorite things to do when I was out on the road was Austin City Limits. It's a thrill. It's an established, amazing. The outdoor part of it, the actual PBS aspect of it. Tell us about working with Austin City Limits.
This was the festival.
That was a festival.
And I was there with Paul McCartney and
Sir Paul McCartney.
Sir Paul McCartney.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And it was an amazing experience. I mean, I got to go to ACL. What else can I say?
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way, kids. If you get a chance to do Austin City Limits, just go for it. It's
amazing.
Yeah, pretty much working in Austin on almost any of the South by Southwest, but Austin City Limits is really the kind of the high bar in what we do for broadcasted live events, and I friggin' love it. me and you got some history with the Bridge School shows, and for the audience that may not know what that is, that's the Neil Young project that went on, I want to say 23, 24 years annually over at Shoreline. I don't know exactly, how many years was it?
It was 30 years.
Was it 30?
Actually, I think, if I remember right, the 30th anniversary was our last show.
Was it? Because I think George and I did maybe 18 or 19 of them. And that's working with, and to explain it, it's basically...
It's a benefit to raise funds for the Bridge School, which takes care of, the challenged children. And Neil Young, it was started by Neil Young because Neil Young's son
is severely disabled.
Yes.
That's correct, yes. And his wife, Peggy, ran it. And these would be some eclectic shows. I mean...
Great show and very heartwarming. I mean, it's the best show of the year.
You have Josh Groban with Smashing Pumpkins, with the Faux Fighters, with Tom Petty. They'd play 2 days. It would be largely acoustical with a little bit of an edge to it. And they did that thing where they had the double stage so the kids could be kind of like on a large riser just behind the band performing. It was fascinating, absolutely.
And it's very sad that it went away. It's
well, Peggy died, as we know, not that long ago, which was sad. And Neil, he's not young, and 30 years is a hell of a stab at it. And I know they really made the Bridge School, which is what a charity, what a thing. And I was always proud to, first of all, be working with you at it, but just being associated with the thing. It was said that it went away. Do you have any special memories from that?
I could do a lot of fabulous artists that I never thought I'd do. Roger Waters. And too many to try and name. I can't remember things from yesterday, let alone what I did a few years ago.
Pearl Jam. I mean, if it's a band, Red Hot, everybody that
absolutely
came through, and they did it for free. They donated their time and played both days. And remember, they always put these weird lineups together, like Josh Groban singing with the Smashing Pumpkins, and just odd things. And then at the end of the show, every time they would Rockin' in a Free World, where everybody's
out there together
with Neil. And it was just a really special thing. And we were lucky enough to be a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. It was just amazing just to be a part of that all.
Yeah, super rare thing, and who knows, maybe something similar will come around. The Bridge School still needs funding, and there's people that care about that institute. We'll see what happens with that. Moving forward, you've worked with a lot of artists. I mean, a lot of artists, obviously, but some of them are particularly interesting. Like working with Prince, was there any special? I've worked with Prince. Is there any special requirements, challenges to filming Prince? He's quite active. He uses all the space.
Well, this was in the round, and I was a handheld operator. The challenges were more technical than the shooting aspect. But I shot him coming out of the dressing room, standing behind his backlit drape. And coming out on the stage, up to the stage, and from there on, just whatever shots I can get. But I had to stop shooting at some point because the technical challenge was we had 5 cameras and 4 CCUs.
Oh, shit.
So we had to keep patching in and out, and that just got old after a minute. So
I bet.
We just dropped my camera out of the whole production there.
Hell of a performer.
Just being there and doing the main part of him walking on the stage was enough for me.
I bet. Yeah, he was a fascinating cat and an incredible performer.
Ironically, that was just a short time before he passed away.
That was, people pass away in the world, and at our age, we see more than we care to see. But that one that came out of nowhere. Yes, that was an odd one. I didn't, some things you can kind of predict, or certainly you're less surprised. But that one I didn't see coming. It was a big loss for our industry.
I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, that was straight up out
one
of
the
the blue.
Unfortunate things that happened.
Yeah, he was, with my experience, and I've toured as a guitar tech and a monitor guy and a stage manager, and he was probably, as guitarists go, probably the best live guitarist I ever saw. I mean, the guy would do shit with his guitar that was ridiculous. It was an amazing guy, and a big loss for the industry. Roger Waters. I know you worked with Roger Waters, which is an amazing cat. Was that Roger Waters solo stuff? Solo.
Yeah. At Bridge School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. That must have been fascinating. So he didn't bring the big wall with him.
No,
all the
no
pig and.
However, I did work his wall as a stagehand.
Yeah, yeah. He helped build the wall.
3 times.
No shit. Yeah.
San Jose, Oakland, and San Francisco.
I noticed you're showing off your swag today. Underneath your Rolling Stones tour jacket is your U2 tour shirt.
Not a tour shirt, it's just a local shirt.
IATSE shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know you're a diehard IATSE guy. You love what you do. Rolling Stones, let's talk about the Rolling Stones. I know that was one of the last things before this all shut down you were involved with.
Yeah, last year. In fact, right now, I was in Miami this day last year.
Yes, sir.
Just arriving there to do the last show while Hurricane, I think it was Dorian. Hurricane Dorian was headed straight for us.
No shit.
We actually moved the show up a day to do the show and get the hell out of there before all hell broke loose.
What was it like chasing Mick Jagger around? I mean, for a 75-year-old dude, he's got energy galore.
It's insane.
Right?
You can't keep up with him.
No.
I'm on a jib trying to chase him around, and we're shooting a portrait frame that's 1/4 the size of your television screen.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. He's got a lot of energy, boy. The first show that I did in Chicago, I remember saying to our production manager, Opie, I says, that dude wore me out. Yeah. I still got loadout to do. And he says, it's not like doing McCartney, is it? Because Paul stays in pretty much
Yeah,
place.
pretty much in the box. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, speaking of Opie, as production managers go, he's got to be in the top 3.
He's one of the greatest guys you could ever work with.
Yeah, Opie is a badass. And, he's kind of affiliated with everything that is big in rock and roll. If you want it to go right and get it done and
absolutely. He's got a fine,
you get Opie.
Finely tuned machine there. And it runs on all cylinders all the time. If there's a misfire, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever seen that
he'll
happen
get
with
it
Opie.
fixed.
I honest to God, he's prolific. This fucking guy Opie is the man. And he just got it. That job's so wired. You can always know you're coming on a job and Opie's PMing on that. He's production manager. It's going to be a good job. It's going to go well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's a good cat too. And that's
absolutely
kind of a rare
Fantastic,
animal.
Man.
So you enjoyed working with Sir Paul. I had that as a standalone question because it's Sir friggin' Paul McCartney. You kind of have to.
Well, you got to remember these bands: the Stones, Paul McCartney, Neil Young. All of them. I grew up with them. I was a teenager getting stoned, listening to their music on my 8-track player and my Plymouth GTX.
Did you ever imagine you were going to be like filming these suckers?
Never.
I know, right?
Never
in my
get
your head around that.
Wildest dreams. So, if I got to end a career now, I could say I did it all.
But you take that back.
I'm not ending it. I didn't say I was going to.
I hear what you're saying.
If I had to.
I don't even want to hear the words.
Charlie Zericki agrees with you about Opie.
Yeah, right, Charlie? Opie's like one of a kind.
He's a great guy, very genuine.
He's a friggin' national treasure, at least in our business. God damn. You're right, Charlie, as usual. Charlie rarely gets it wrong. Sir Elton John, we did him, I want to say the end of last season, and, what a performer. My God.
He's awesome.
It's hard to explain Elton's deal when they show up with his. That's one of the most professional acts I've ever seen. His players, Ray Cooper is always. I've always been fascinated by him. He's super dramatic, his percussionist. He's got the white gloves and the. Oh man, it just what a showing. Did you enjoy doing that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It's very seldom where you're a handheld camera on stage, and with an artist like that, you basically have the run of the stage.
Yeah.
The director, Paulie Becker, awesome man, love him.
Legend.
We talked before the show, and he pretty much said, "Just get the shots."
Right. Yeah.
And so I had the run of the stage.
Well, they know when they bring you there, they're not going to try to tell you what to do. They're going to say, you do what you do because that's why we brought you here. And so you're just running around capturing Elton all night over.
Right.
Yeah. No, he's a...
Wherever I heard
what a pro.
Something else start up, another instrument here, another instrument there, I was there.
Yeah. Johnny on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that must have been great.
Yeah, some of the action shots, even from the Lovers and Strangers shoots, you can really tell it's like a very specific style of action shot you do that just is like a trademark in rock and roll
Well,
video.
it's the Fuki shot. And it's the
100%.
Joe Victoria shot, too, because
Yeah.
that's, can we say that
Yeah,
freely, that
absolutely.
Joe Victoria is kind of a mentor to you?
He
which
is.
Metallica. I mean, he's kind of badass. You guys kind of have a signature, I think, look that you capture when you film.
I don't like giving the same shot every time, even if it's on the same, let's say the drummer, like when I was doing the Who. I didn't want to deliver
forward,
the
bud.
same shot all the time. Some would be from the ground up, some would be overhead,
Yeah.
others would be straight on. I try to mix them up as much as I can, so it doesn't get boring or repetitive.
No, I understand.
Whatever the director lets me get away with. If I get yelled at on the headset, I'll stop.
That's when you reel it in a little bit. I know that you don't. I think people forget we talk about rock and roll all the time on the show, but you know, in our business, we do $1 million weddings and large corporate things, and every so often we work with politicians. And I know we've got a safety alert. Something naughty's going on. Let's shut them down. Sorry about that. Apparently, there's some emergency happening in California right now. Regardless, we're all going to be fine. We film presidents every so often. I've worked with Obama, and the process it takes to be able to work with Obama or a president. You've done the Clintons, Obama, some heads of states. I think the Prime Minister of India.
The Prime Minister of India, President of France. I think it was a Prime Minister or President of Israel. I'm not sure which one it was.
Yeah, I think those are prime ministers.
And like I said, heads of state.
Any special, because the audience may not know, I know, but what special, so you don't just walk in with your camera on that job?
No, the hardest thing is getting
Yeah.
Secret Service clearance.
Yeah, that is true.
And
That's what guys like us.
a lot of times I'm going like, oh, I'm never going to get cleared for that.
That's what I would think too.
It comes out that way. I mean, it's worked. Like the president, Prime Minister of India was one particular one where we had to clear the building so they could do the bomb sniffing dogs around.
Sure.
And all crew was outside, and they gave us the okay to come back in. Well, none of us camera operators had any credentials. They didn't give us any.
Weird.
There was a Secret Service agent that was Asian. He looks at me and he goes, "Oh, that guy's okay. He was in here. He can go." And the other camera operators are just looking at me. I go, "Hey, it's an Asian thing. What can I say?"
What can I say? Inside baseball, brother. Deal.
But yeah, it's pretty rigid, you know, as you can expect.
Well, as it should be, you know, for safety reasons and stuff. But it's a unique undertaking, you know. I know doing sound for him it's very interesting rolling up to the president and miking him up, you know. It's kind of an interesting moment. I enjoyed it personally, but some of the security precautions I found to be a little
Oh, yeah. I remember
little much.
on one occasion after doing a show with Michelle Obama,
Lovely woman.
I put my gear down. I walked backstage. Well, I didn't know she's still in her little dressing room area, and I'm starting to walk back there, and this phalanx of cops just stops me. "Where are you going?" And everyone's looking at me going, "Dude, you almost got shot."
Apparently, you're not supposed
I'm
to be
just
messing
trying to get a
around
drink of water. and use
Mrs.
the head.
Obama's dressing room, Fook.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy. You knew better. She's just an attractive woman. You're taking a peek. Hey, listen, I know that you've always, you've had a lot of experience filming out at Coachella. Now, that is a big-ass show. Any special tip? Well, first of all, the weather. Well, talk to us about Coachella.
The weather can be many of the extremes.
Yes.
From dusty, windy, which I'm used to from going to Burning Man for 12 years. But
Sure.
The heat factor, you know, when it gets to be 105 degrees out there,
It can get oppressive real quick.
it's not fun.
Yeah, yeah. And you're rolling around with a, 40-pound camera on your
Yeah,
shoulder.
and it's the same there as, most of the festivals
Yeah.
where I'm usually on the stage, handheld or in the pit. And you get all that heat. The heat from the LED walls combined with the sun and everything else. It's
Sure.
What stage are you usually on?
I used to do the tent, the Mojave tent. Then they moved me up to the main stage.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Where you belong, right?
Well, you got to stair step that process, you know. But no, you were supposed to be out this year, and of course it got canceled.
Yes,
sadly.
it did.
I'm not even sure if they scheduled up to next year.
From what I understand, they're going to have the same artist next year.
Wow.
But anything's subject to change right now.
Everything.
There's nothing carved in stone now.
No.
I get calls for little gigs here and there, and by the time I hang up the phone, it's ringing again saying the job just went away.
I know. We've had quite a bit of that ourselves. Although we have, this week, we did send something out of the shop to a thing I can't really discuss more than saying we put some gear in the field and some technicians, and that felt good. But, you know, we need more. And, you know, fingers crossed that's coming to us. And that's what this show is partly about, is to, you know, speak to our people about, you know, keeping their chins up and keeping a good headspace, because, yeah, this sucks, but...
Absolutely. There's too many of our brothers and sisters out there that...
Struggling.
they can't make ends meet, you know. There's nothing for them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And some of us, this is what we do. This is the thing we know, and it's been taken. And so, you know, that's the genesis of this show came out of, you know, we got the gear, we got the friends, we missed the friends, we want to play with the gear, so let's do something, and hence the show, and, you know, it's getting to do this, but it's, we need more.
We just want this pandemic to go away so we can get back to work and
Absolutely.
doing what we love to do.
Exactamundo. Couldn't agree with you more. Look, we mentioned Outside Lands earlier. I'm not sure the audience, you know, it's a regional tour. It's a regional festival, but man, it's a big ass festival. I'd say 105,000 people. Kind of
I'd say that's a good
right
guess,
in there.
Yeah. 5 stages.
This is a massive thing.
Polo fields of San Francisco and Golden Gate Park.
Yeah, you have to imagine. We take up the whole of Golden Gate Park, which is a massive park, and the polo fields, and we throw a bunch of stages in there and bring the world's biggest bands, and then he shoots them with his friends. I know you did The Who. What was that like?
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
another band I grew up with.
Yeah, right.
You know, and
They still bring it too for their age.
There's no other word that I can say to describe it.
Yeah,
Because,
it's fascinating.
like I said earlier, when you grow up with these bands as a teenager, and then here I am in my late 60s, shooting them on stage, it's just like, you know, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, it's kind of thrilling, and
it's just
yeah.
crazy.
Sometimes you got to pinch yourself a little bit, right? And let's back up a little bit. This man right here, and you couldn't tell it, I couldn't tell it, I just know him forever. He's 68 years old, and he still does the biggest rock shows on the planet, like with the biggest rock bands. Dude, you impress the shit out of me with that. Your stamina, your stick to your training. You come out here and break out the jib, and I think we did for the Rolling Stones thing, because you knew you were going to be chasing a rabbit. I got on my little, remember I got in my little cart and had tried to get you following me on my little race car?
Same for Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Idea was going to be a portrait frame. I'm used to doing a full screen 16:9.
Yeah.
So as soon as I knew it was going to be a portrait frame, I was like out here in your lot there practicing.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not afraid to put in the work to do the work. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and you know, of course, we're always open to you. You also, Outside Land attracts some really great artists. Janet Jackson, did you get that one?
Janet Jackson, yes.
Yeah. Any special challenges working with shooting that?
Well, no challenges shooting. I remember, like, most of the main acts, the directors are there early in the morning, and I'll usually go over what they want to see.
Sure.
And in Janet Jackson in particular, she had a B stage, and he wanted me to follow her out there. He was going to try and keep her security clear.
Good luck with that.
So I can stay with her, which was a challenge in itself.
Yeah.
And her personal photographer, I don't know if he was or not, he said he was, but he was on my way, and he was getting in front of me, so I just knocked him off to the side.
That sounds
he
like
gets
a Fuki
back
move.
onto the stage, I'm back onto the stage, and I feel someone tugging on my pants. Well, I'm thinking it's my utility, because that's what he's supposed to do if I'm getting too close to the edge.
Sure.
But it wasn't him. So I look at this guy, and I say, what the hell are you doing? He goes, I'm Janet Jackson's personal photographer and blah, blah, blah. I said, I don't give a fuck who you are. Get the fuck out of my face before I kick you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he didn't probably understand how sincere
You know?
that statement was and
If
how
he-
capable
well, the way I
of doing
explained
that
it,
you are.
The way I explained it to my utility is I said, if he was really her photographer, he would know better
That's right.
because he knows I'm doing what I'm told to do, trying to follow through with what I was asked to get. And,
Your direction.
he'd be out of my way.
Yeah. No, you know, we've worked with the Jackson camp. The Jackson camp is militaristic. I mean, that is listen, this is a family that's been in the spotlight for 40 years. They know how to rock and roll. They know how to come to a show, and their security is deep. It's intense. I've actually watched them I won't say who, but watched them during a sound check. We had one of our vendors that got a little picture happy, taking pictures during sound check, which of course you and I both know is absolutely fucking bidden. And security came and collected him up, lifted him up in the air, and carried him off the property. Took his phone away. You don't mess with the Jackson security camp. And yeah, so that's an interesting thing that some jackass was up there pulling your leg while you're trying to do your job in front of 100,000 people.
It happens,
yeah,
but-
super fun.
Oh, Hollywood has a question for you, Fuki.
What do you got?
If you could do any gig that you want next, which would you choose?
Any gig, I'm assuming that would be rock and roll.
Well, no, it's the gig you want.
I think he said any gig.
Well, yeah. This is probably, dead or alive, anything.
Well, you know, I would love to do the Stones one more time if they do it.
That's a
If
tough
it
one to
ever
guess,
happens.
huh? I mean, because they come out, you seem like they're done, and then they come back. So it's not out of the question to think that they could come again and do another tour.
It's very
bring you out.
possible.
Yeah, so you enjoyed it that much.
I did. I loved it.
Yeah. The Stones hold a special place for you musically, for kind of like a soundtrack to your life type thing.
I'll put it to you this way: our first rehearsal day, after everything's set up, cameras are faxed and everything,
Yeah.
Ronnie and Keith come out on stage, and the first thing they do is they start introducing themselves to us, saying, "Hey, how you doing? Great to have you aboard. We're going to have a good time." Well, I thought they were going to walk by me, and when they stopped and knelt down and shook my hand and everything, after they walked away, I went on comm, and I said, "Did that just really happen?" I mean, how often does an artist do that?
Not as often.
Come
as
up to you,
maybe they should.
introduce themselves,
Yeah.
and just make you feel like you're right at home.
It seems like I'm getting more stories. I got that story from Katy Perry, Flo from Florence and the Machines. It seems like they're more mindful artists more than ever of how important it is to kind of play nice with the guy who's filming you, the guy who's controlling the sound that the audience hears, and to just be a human being. And, we're all out there to do a good job and support each other. And so, yeah. Then the Rolling Stones, come on, they're pros. They know. And to have you on their side and do that little extra bit of effort, it sure goes a long way, huh?
Tell you, it's a mind blower.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't expect it.
yeah. And I know you've worked for Metallica.
Yes, on a couple of one-offs.
Yeah.
I would love to have toured with them, but
That's Joe's job.
that's okay. Yeah,
Joe's got that.
thing.
Joe Victor, Joe will call you in, I'm sure. Eventually you'll be his right hand on that son of a bitch because they're one of the largest touring acts in the world. And Joe seems to have that gig nailed down. We're lucky to know him. He's such a good guy. Bottle Rock up in Napa, another very large festival.
Yes.
Were you involved? I have memories of this. Were you there the night we had to shut off Heart? Did you film that?
No, was that the first year?
Yeah, they broke the curfew. And
Well, if it was the first year, I had no part of
I
that
can't
first year.
remember what year it was.
But the second year,
Yeah.
I was there,
Who are you filming?
brought on by your brother.
Of course.
And
That was pretty much his gig.
I've been there ever since.
Yeah, yeah. Some great acts go through there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super fun.
Great acts.
Very hot. Can be a little oppressive on that side too.
Yeah.
In the heart of Napa, wine country and big valley bowl, spread out. Super good. Yeah, George was instrumental in the layout of that. Really the whole.
Interesting
thing.
about Bottle Rock is they don't do things the same every year as far as infrastructure.
That's right.
Particularly the front of house.
Yeah.
You know, every year it's really a cluster. I mean, I can't say it any other way.
You're being nice right now.
I talked
That's
to
what you're doing.
the production people. They're not the festival production people about you can't do that for camera people. It's not safe.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, the last year, I told them the camera platforms for us in the pit were not safe. It was a 3x3 platform for a camera and an operator in the pit. And they kept telling me they're going to change it. And they didn't change it. And next day they're going to change it. They didn't change it. Well, on the last day on Sunday, I went off that riser.
You mean like you
Me,
went off
camera and all.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's bad. Who were you filming when it happened?
I don't recall. It was,
Because of the concussion? Is that why?
no, I didn't get hurt. Believe me, I was leaving in less than a month for the Stones tour. I did not get hurt.
Yeah, you let the camera take the whole heat on that one.
But, you know, I told them next year that's not going to happen.
Well, you know, they've been known to have certain blind spots on that gig. And it's a great gig in many ways. But if you're working it, it can be a couple extra layers of navigating the politics and.
But I'll tell you, all the production people on our end did their best to make it happen.
That's right.
And do it the right way, but it's the other layer that was malfunctioning.
Well, in my book, I'm going to always say that's where it's going wrong. It's not us. We got this. We know what we're supposed to be doing. But still a great gig, you know, big shows and, you know, great place to gather experience. I know you filmed for HBO. You've done some sports stuff.
Couple boxing shows.
What's that? How's that?
It was fun. I mean, you know, I was thrown into it at the last minute, so mostly doing what you call the beauty shots, arena wide, just zooming into the ring.
Yeah, gotcha. So there's differences.
And then I did, I forget what it's called, All Japan Wrestling. I did it for Access TV. That was another crazy one.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
I don't remember what they call that, but that's the first show I ever seen where the wrestlers are up on a 10, 12-foot ladder, jumping off, flipping off backwards and stuff.
Yeah, it's basically kind of a WWF type thing.
Exactly.
But the Japanese version.
Right.
Yeah. Intense.
Crazy. It's like unbelievable what they do. And actually, one of the wrestlers actually broke his back during that show.
Shit.
He finished up the show, and then we were told later on that he had broken his back on that.
Wow. Well, that's although the
risks you take
matches
doing that
tend to be predetermined, it doesn't mean the action that's going on between those moments isn't some real shit sometimes. Yeah, that's an absolute fact. How'd you like working with Access TV?
Access TV is great. The guys I work with.
Yeah.
I worked with on multiple occasions. I did Steve Winwood and Crosby, Stills and Nash with them as well. And,
Winwood must have been fun.
Winwood was great. That was at the Mountain Winery.
Yeah, sure. What is that? Paul Massan's old place, right? Yeah, it's beautiful up there. Hot. Also,
terrible.
Another fucking hot, bizarre place, but great views. Amazing little amphitheater. That's a very unique place. Yeah. You enjoyed it.
Terrible way to get in and out.
Oh, that road is psycho.
Terrible.
Up that mountain. It's freaking crazy. But it's so weird because you get to the top of the mountain, and all of a sudden this winery breaks out, and there's all these buildings and this really fancy amphitheater. And yeah, it's a really specific, unique venue. Our good friend Brian Conway worked there forever. You may know Brian. Was the guy over, and it's a great place to see a show. It tends to, be one of those places where you need to use the misters quite a bit because
it's a really intimate venue. It's nice.
Yeah. It's an attractive place too. It's got a lot of history. Paul Masson was kind of a big deal back in the day with the wines. You shoot rock and roll, you shoot corporate, you do heads of state. You got a favorite? Do you have a preference, and why? Well,
my preference is rock and roll. It's music of any kind, actually. I've done a lot of, Indian concerts, and they're fantastic. I mean, colorful. I don't know what they're saying, but
Well, they're certainly colorful people.
Yeah, it's great doing their shows.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree. I also, as you know, I've
I've done
worked in
Korean, the
different.
K-pop shows where you can't understand the director because he's shouting at you in Korean.
Just do your best in that moment. we did a big thing down at one of the stadiums last year with some Filipino TV show, and I guess it's massive in Asia. This thing is massive, and this thing must have had, I don't know, 130 boxes, maybe 150 points, hanging points. It was gigantic, and it was very similar to that. We were kind of just going around a little blind, just giving them what we thought they needed, because the language barriers. But
That's what you got to do. It's just like if you have a technical issue, like the comm goes down or something of that nature, you just keep on shooting.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, just do what you do. So, you're rock and roll then. You're gonna stay with that one.
Yeah, even though that's only a small portion of my work when it's there, it's probably 1/3.
Yeah.
The corporate gigs are easily 2/3.
Well, and there's good money in the corporates, and they can be fun. A little different energy, but
Different, long hours.
long hours. Yeah, yeah. But they tend to call you. I know you've done Salesforce and a lot of the big dudes.
Yeah,
Well,
Salesforce, Oracle, Apple, Google I/O,
Yeah, yeah,
all the big hitters.
yeah. You're naming a bunch of names I'm not allowed to name because I'll get in trouble. but yeah, yes, I know this to be true. They're good money. You got to give them that. And sometimes they drag in some pretty good bands into those things.
They do,
Sometimes it's the Talking Heads, and other times it's Madonna.
Well, a couple of years ago, I had no part of the fest, but Dreamforce had the so-called Dream Fest at the Cow Palace with U2.
Yeah, yeah, totally. That's all just for the troops.
Just for the troops.
That's just for the troops. Yeah, no, we've done for some folks that will go unnamed companies, some very large acts, Lady Gaga, and I mean, whoever was the big deal at the time, Coldplay or whatever, and come into these things just for the troops. And I think a lot of the world intentionally is unaware that these things happen at these large places.
I think you remember when Oracle used to do their fest on Treasure Island.
Yeah,
And
spectacular.
back in those days, they had 3 stages.
That's right.
And eventually it dwindled down to 2, then down to 1. And then the last couple of years, they had it at AT&T Park.
Yeah, that's right. That seems to be the kind of go-to spot now for
But
the
it
large.
was, for a while, it was massive there.
Oh yeah, really huge. I think the last time I interacted with it was with Train. We did Train out there on one of the big stages. It was super fun. So you've been in the game for a while. You're a mature man. You see what's going on all around us. It's cuckoo crazy time. What is your prediction of what's happening and where we're going when we're getting back to work? You have anything? You know anything? I don't know.
I'll tell you, I want to be optimistic
Okay.
and hope that it's coming back sooner than later. But
Yes.
reality is it's probably going to be later than sooner.
It's kind of looking
You have
like
too many people out there. Sturgis, the motorcycle rally. I used to go to that all the time before it got big after the 50th anniversary.
I'm really excited that you're talking about this. I didn't want to bust your balls about this.
Well,
but tell me what your opinion of that
I
is.
thought it was a bad move.
That wasn't so clever.
During this time with the pandemic and everything, it's not a smart thing because you have all the people going there. You don't know who may be a carrier, and people are going to come home to their respective
That's right.
states and cities, and who knows if they're carrying it with them. That's just going to prolong us getting back to work
That's right.
sooner.
That's right. And
Because as of yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, South Dakota said that they've had 130 confirmed cases, not just in their state, but related to people attending the rally. And the numbers are expected to go higher.
yes, I been monitoring.
Hopefully they
that
won't.
news.
I don't wish that on anybody that attended, but reality's reality,
Yeah, that's right. It was definitely a risky move. I saw an interview with some townspeople, some actual, the 40 people that actually live in Sturgis. It's not a very large space, and they were pissed off about it. they felt that the city fathers were being greedy and that it shouldn't have been happening. At least the ones that were interviewed in the thing that I saw. And yeah, it was an interesting thing. And some levels, though, I feel like it needs to happen too to kind of test the waters. But who's going to be the first one to get in those waters? Well, Sturgis, of course, is willing to step up.
The town of Sturgis, I think the population is about 7,000-ish.
Yeah, it's a quaint little place.
But that whole area, the Black Hills area, that's their livelihood for the entire year. So I get it.
Yeah,
I can see why they want to push ahead and take that chance.
That's right. The Buffalo Chip's open, 8 days, 10 days a year?
Because, without that, they have no money.
No, Woody's got to run that place. I know they had a couple of our Chopper Kovich went out and did, I think, Smash Mouth out there this year, and he was really aware of protecting himself and him, and I think it was Scott. A few guys were out, and they were out, disinfecting the stage and trying their best, but. You know what Woody's backyard looks like at Buffalo Chip. You know how many people you can jam into that thing, and it was packed to the gills. And it just makes sense that something was going to happen as a result of that behavior. Again, like you said, we wish all those people the best. And,
I sure hope.
We certainly understand
nobody
the fatigue
came home with it, but
but unfortunately, we know that people did. And these are many people, especially in a biker type situation like that. These people travel from all 50 states and further to come to something like that. This is a thing that, of course, to be fair, is a traditional. This is a really, if you're a Sturgis person, you tend to keep doing it and going and going. And I kind of get that, but it was an interesting choice. So you think it's going to be a minute before we get back?
I believe it is.
Excuse me.
Like I say, I want to be optimistic about it and hope that things turn around and things come back sooner.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, if there is one, we hope the same thing.
We just have to push through the rest of this year and see where it goes.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And, as you came into the building, there's all kinds of hygiene stations and sanitizers and masks and all that, and we're separated for the reason that we are to have this much distance.
Ironically, like I was telling you, I just took the COVID compliance officer's test today.
For your union work?
Not for union, just for
just to have it in your belt?
Because it's going to be a normal part of the workplace to have a COVID compliant officer. So that's just one more position that'll need to be filled. So I took the test and passed it.
Another tool in your tool belt?
Yeah.
Yeah, very smart. Very, very smart. Well, we're going to be doing some things right here in this very space. We'll move my set out and push some bands in here and stuff. And we might have you here with your COVID badge on, making sure everybody's behaving right. And
I'll put the badge down and pick up a camera.
Yeah. Actually, in that capacity, it's probably much preferred because, the first one we did, you helped with and you filmed that. And we just finished editing that today with the help of our good friend Mikey Brown, who's behind the cameras right now and running everything. And the end result, based on your work, your filming, and Joe Victoria's filming, and then the RoboCams and everything that we had going on. I think we had Leif Osborne filming that as well. I think it was 6 cameras total. Turned out pretty friggin' great. I'm really excited to see it go out and see what people's impression of it. It turned
Me
out,
as well.
Yeah. I want you to see it. We did this show with their singer, and we cut in some clips from the show, so it kind of had a continuity. It looked really great, and the band did a hell of a job that day, and they're a great band.
From what I saw of it, it's awesome. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Our lighting people did a great job. It was
spent a lot of time on our knees, though. Trying to give it this big stage look.
You killed it, man. Some of those shots. That's what I was talking about. That kind of signature Fuki thing that you do. No, some of those shots were like straight out of the textbook, and it did look big rock show, and with the lighting rig and everything we brought to it. It turned out really great.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but towards the end of the shoot there, when I was shooting from the floor up, I had to use that pole to get back on my feet. It was getting harder to get up off my knees.
Fuki, we've said this many times. Getting old is not for pussies. I mean, it's a thing, buddy. And you still, we were talking about this before the show. You've come to, you don't allow yourself to be stopped by the simple physical limitations or illness.
I try not to.
No, you push through, brother, and that's kind of the badassery of you. And that's the old school too. I mean, that's just the way we were raised, and it's little boo boo, and you got work to do.
Keep going until you drop.
That's right. That's the truth. Listen, brother, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming out here. You know I love you. It's always the L&R with you, love and respect.
Well, I love you too, brother.
You're the man. You're the
we're family. And
yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It's great to hear from you again.
Anytime.
Yeah, you're the best. You send out some love to Joey.
I'll be in the audience next time.
Yes. He's one of our regulars in the audience. He makes it fun and throws stuff at us from the audience. Kind of keeps us on our toes. It's nice. We appreciate that. You bring Joey around. We always love having you guys as a pair. It makes it even more interesting. It's always fun. You kind of play off each other. And
we have a lot of fun together.
Yeah. He's great. Thank you for coming out.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it was just an awesome pleasure. Be well, my brother. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Who do we got on the? Look, it's a Clint from Crew Music Asia saying, "Hey, buddy."
I told him to give us some work. If Asia's opening back up, we want to work. So
he doesn't have enough work there. He's only got the 300 spots. It's just
okay.
Come on.
We're fishing. I'm trying to get you
work. Is that
work.
what it is? Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Crew. Clint. The kid, he's fishing. Throw something at him, maybe a minnow or something. He'll put you in Macau or someplace like that.
There you go, something.
You can go. I mean, these clubs this guy are ridiculous. They're massive, dude. It's just China level style, huge, and it's a lot of EDM. So if you can deal with that,
There you go. Yeah.
Good work for him.
Yeah, I see you got a new coffee cup.
Oh. So my good friend Ryan Anderson. This is from Hertz Donuts. He brought donuts back from his Iowa trip he just came back from, and Hertz Donuts is kind of a famous Iowa stop, and this is their coffee mug. He knows I'm kind of a fan of the brass knuckles, and so he brought me back and he brought donuts back.
Such a nice.
He brought donuts and the Hertz coffee mug, and I want to thank Ryan Anderson for that. That was very, very kind.
Ryan Anderson or Yeti Bob Ross, but he cut his hair, so we can't even call him Yeti Bob.
So Ryan
Ross.
has this big kind of white guy fro. I don't know, it's curly hair. And he kind of got a Bob Ross thing, famous painter Bob Ross thing. But he's also a very big man, and so we call him Yeti. So he's Yeti Bob Ross. That's the inside joke on that one.
If you ever see him, just lay
you would absolutely get that joke. Yeah, no two ways about it. We want to thank all the people that tune in to the show, and the ones that send comments. We love that. Thank you, Patrick and Clint and Pat and Charlie and the rest of you guys. And the lieutenant, of course. Shout out to the lieutenant. You're a badass. Next week we've got our good friend Tony Bianco coming on. That's the manager, the boss man over at the Fillmore, the world famous Fillmore. I mean,
oh man, we're gonna have some stories out of him, huh?
If it's a band, and this is from the early days of Jefferson Airplane, Grateful Dead, into Theory of a Dead Man, a couple months, whatever. If it's a band, they stop at the Fillmore and they got to deal with Tony, and Tony's got stories, and it will be fun. And so I urge you to tune in next week, 7 p.m. Thursday, to see Tony. He's gonna be a great guest, and we're certainly looking forward to him. We can't do this by ourselves. We got our friends here at Sound Image Productions, our boss George Edwards, the general manager. We want to thank him for giving us the space and the time, and of course the big boss man. Our dear leader, which is Dave Shadone, the CEO of Southern California Sound Image. Thank you, Dave. We love you for it. Our good friends at LSV help us out with some gear with the cameras. We couldn't do it without them. John Rigney, in memory of John Rigney, and in the name of Cameron Brown. Thank you guys, all the guys at LSV. We absolutely adore you guys, large screen video. And of course, the good people over at slowfiber.com. They help us with our masks and the social distancing products, and it makes it so our guys in our shops can kind of come to work and feel like they're doing the right thing. Thank you, slowfiber.com. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys. I couldn't do this without my good friend and co-host, Kyle Thomas. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
All the stuff you do during the week to prep for this and all the work we put in that they don't see. I really appreciate you, man. You're really a good cat.
Thank you.
And we got to send a shout out to our P-Bone, Alan Pettibone, our lighting guy, our LD. He kicks ass and is always coming up with new stuff for us. Thank you, Alan. And really the captain of the ship is Michael Brown. Without Michael Brown, it would all be wrong. He does the cameras. He's switching. He's doing audio. He's doing graphics. He's a badass. He's the octopus. Mr. Brown, thank you very much. We got mad love for you, brother. And thank you guys in the audience. We really appreciate it. We'd love to see you back again. We'll be here next Thursday at 7. We hope you tune in. Until then, you have a good night and you take care. Bye-bye.